Hello everybody. This week we're going to be talking about prepositions. These can be confusing little boogers, so we're going to try and take our time with them. To begin, let's figure out what a preposition is. By definition, a preposition helps to explain the location or the relationship between a noun or a pronoun and then another part in the sentence. Now, the thing with prepositions is that they're kind of like a team. They travel together in packs, and a preposition will have, I'm going to abbreviate and just say prep. It doesn't stand by itself. It has a group. So you can say it collaborates with others. It works as a group. So when you have a preposition plus a group of other words, you end up with a prepositional phrase. So when you have a preposition and you add that with other words, what you end up getting is a prepositional phrase. Now, the cool thing about prepositional phrases is that they're really easy to pick out because a prepositional phrase always begins with a preposition. So if you can figure out what these prepositions are, then it's a whole lot easier to kind of pick out the prepositional phrase. So, like I said, the preposition explains either the location or another type of relationship between the preposition and another group of words. So a preposition can do a couple of different things. A preposition can tell you where. For instance, it can tell us it's in, or it's near, or beside, below, above. All of those are different prepositions that are giving you the location or the relationship between a noun or pronoun and something else. So one way we can think about this is, let's just look at an example and see if we can figure this out. The boy threw the ball over the fence. So if we're going to begin to figure out what the preposition and prepositional phrase is, and let's say we have no idea, let's start by identifying the subject of the sentence. So what is going on? Who is the subject, or what noun or pronoun is the subject of the sentence? And we can see that would be boy. The boy is the main person in the sentence. So they're the noun. Now what is the boy doing? What action is he taking? Well, the boy threw. So there is going to be your verb. Now what did the boy throw? He threw the ball. So we know that the boy threw the ball. All of that, if we look at all of that together, that is our sentence, and it's very basic. Now, over the fence is telling us more information about what the boy threw, or the ball. So let's figure this out. If we say over the fence, what is that answering? Well, one way that you can think about prepositions and kind of identify them is to ask yourself if what is going on. So for instance, the boy threw the ball over the fence. If we say through or over where, if you ask yourself the question, over where? Well, over the fence. So over where is telling us where the ball was thrown. So we've got some extra information going on about the ball. Now, this is pretty easy to follow if, like I said, you can identify some of these prepositions. So I'm just going to list some of the most common ones. You don't have to write them all down, but it's helpful just to be able to identify them. So about, above, across, after, against. Like I said, there's a lot of them. Along, before, and I'm not writing them all down. Behind, below, beneath, for, from, in, into, like, of, keep doing that, don't I? Like, of, over, on, under, under, with, and I could give you more, but I'm not going to. So let's see if we can figure this out. Now, if you need to pause the video here to write these down, go ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this information right here. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So let's see here. Number one, if I say that Jim painted a picture on the wall of the house. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can figure out which one is the preposition and which one is not. Okay, let's see. So Jim painted a picture on the wall of the house. Now, if we identify what the subject is, we know that Jim is our subject. What is Jim doing? Jim is painting. What is Jim painting? He is painting a picture. Now, that's not telling us anything except the basics. Now, if we get past that, we can see this is what we're left with on the wall of the house. Now, if we look at just this part on the wall, we know from what we wrote down earlier that on is a preposition. So that's a little bit more helpful for us to figure out that, oh, okay, that's a preposition. Now, like we said before, all prepositional phrases begin with a preposition. So on the wall of the house, we have to figure out where does the prepositional phrase begin and where does the prepositional phrase end. So, now, on the wall tells us what about the picture? It tells us where it's located. So, on what? The wall. So, our prepositional phrase is on the wall, and our preposition is on, and the object of the preposition is wall. Let's do another one. The dog jumped over the mound behind the barn and ran into the street. Now, we're not done with number one. We're going to come back to it because I think there's something we're missing. See if you can catch on to it while we're looking at this next one. So the dog jumped over the mound behind the barn and ran into the street. Now, our subject is the dog. The dog is doing what? He's jumping. Where is he jumping? Oh, okay. He's jumping over the mound. That's our first prepositional phrase. Over the mound. Where else is he jumping? He's jumping behind the barn. Anywhere else? What else is he doing? And he ran. Well, okay, that's great. Where did he run? Into the street. So these are telling you where the dog is located. Well, when he jumped, he was over the mound, and then he was behind the barn, but when he ran, he was in the street. So these are three different prepositional phrases that we're finding in the same sentence. So if we can have three separate prepositional phrases in this sentence, then maybe we should go back and look at number one to figure out if there's any other prepositional phrases there. So let's take a look. So we said on the wall, but what about of the house? Is that a prepositional phrase? Well, from our list, we saw that of is actually a prepositional phrase, and of the house is telling us where the picture was painted. So of the house is another prepositional phrase. The preposition we said was of. And so if the preposition is of, then the object of the preposition is house. The house is of what? Of the house. So it's on the wall of what? We could be talking about on the wall of the supermarket. It's helping us to be more specific and show us exactly where it's located. So now on the second one, over the mound tells us exactly where the dog jumped. Behind the barn also tells us where the dog jumped. And into the streets tell us where the dog ran. So we have a different verb there. So hopefully this is a very basic introduction into prepositional phrases. And we're going to go over these a little bit more tomorrow. But don't fear, we're going to keep reviewing these prepositions. Hopefully you have had a good teacher in the past who's taught you there's little songs about them and all. And we're going to put those songs to use and figure out what these prepositions are and what these prepositional phrases are doing in these sentences. So we'll come back to this later. And until then, we'll see you then.